UFC superstar Jorge Gamebred Masvidal, dude. What's going on, baby?
What's up, everybody?
Alrighty, what up, everybody? Welcome into Man to Man Podcast. Today we're switching things up and talking man to woman. Please welcome on the show singer-songwriter, social media star Lauren Gray. We know you like the DJs.
I am okay.
$1.99 for a banana bag, bro.
We thank RĒVO Sunglasses for sponsoring the podcast today. RĒVO Sunglasses, it's the go-to brand for premium eyewear that perfectly blends style and performance. As you can see, the young little Twazzington is rocking the Logan's new arrival. Gang, my guy. Whether you're hitting the slopes, exploring the trails, or just soaking up the sun, RĒVO has got you covered with their cutting-edge polarized NASA lens technology that offers unparalleled clarity and protection. And guess what? It's November, which means it's time for RĒVO's fantastic holiday sales. Head over to www.rhyvo.com or click the link in the episode description to score some amazing deals on their latest collection. But don't wait too long. Why? I don't know, dude, because a sale and holiday special ain't gonna last forever. Experience the difference with RĒVO's sleek designs, durable build, and advanced lens coatings, making every adventure clear and more vibrant. From vibrant urban streets to the great outdoors, RĒVO Sunglasses will have you looking sharp and feeling confident wherever you go. Take advantage of the November holiday sale happening right now. Visit www.rhyvo.com. That's REVO.com, or click the link in the episode description to upgrade your eyewear game today. That's REVO.com, www.rhyvo.com for the best deals on top tier eyewear. Trust me, your eyes will thank you later. Now let's get into the pod.
But obviously the Lakers are iconic. We got to go down to the center court with Toyota, and I gave the game ball to the referee and stuff. I don't know what qualified me to be there, but I was so grateful, and I was like, I'm absolutely going to take this and run with it. It was amazing. And then we got to be up in a suite, the great view, and free drinks, free food. It was the dream. I was like, okay, I could do this 1,000 times and be content.
Right. We'll talk about a little bad luck, dude. I think they got smoked that first game, bro.
Against the Nuggets? Did they win?
Oh, you know what? It was. You're right. My bad.
No, but I think they did get smoked the week after.
Okay. You know what? You're totally right. Come on, Andrew. Get together, brother. Okay, so is your GOAT LeBron James now? What's going on? MJ or LeBron?
I guess LeBron. I wore his jersey. I saw him down there on the court. I was within hands distance. I could have reached out and shook his hand, but I'm a professional, so I didn't.
How was shooting on the court after the game?
It was fun. It was so fun. Yeah, I didn't play basketball in high school, but I played it growing up for fun. I had a basketball hoop outside my house and stuff. So after a few air balls, I was like, I think I'm gonna put the balls away and just take some cute pics. But I definitely had fun. I had fun pretending. I'm good at defense. Don't count on me to shoot, but I'm not afraid to be aggressive and get the ball.
Okay. I didn't know if you were a bucket getter or not. All right, don't sell yourself short there. There's one that went in there. What's the biggest difference from Bull Island to moving to Tennessee to Los Angeles, City of Angels?
Not knowing Bull Island, where I'm from. So it's completely different. Obviously, there's so much diversity here. There's so much culture. It really they always say America's a melting pot, and where I'm from, there is diversity in Hampton Roads area, but there's nothing quite like Los Angeles. You can just experience so much in one spot, probably similar to New York or something. There's just so many cool pockets of LA that are just really rich in culture and experiences. I feel there's nothing like it. And I've lived in Tokyo before as well. So it's very different, two totally different major cities, but very different experiences. And I feel in America and in Los Angeles, individuality is it's so welcomed and applauded here that it's a great place for me. It's funny because I'm 30 this year. So it's doesn't feel like the time of my life when I'm like, oh, I'm gonna like find myself or find my individuality. Like I'm not gonna do anything too crazy. Like I'm pretty secure in who I am and like very much know who I am. But it's really cool as an artist or like a creative to be here and be like, okay, like I've never had this kind of growth and like diversity around me, whether it's like people or just experiences or art. So I just feel like I'm in like a major growing period right now. And I feel like that's the biggest thing LA has been for me.
It's literally coast to coast for you.
Literally.
Quite literally. Again, we were out there in early August and, you know, we have people out there that are kind of younger dudes, like 21, 22. They're going through it, dude. They're trying to figure it out. Whereas you're like established, you got your thing going on. But I feel like people are either going into LA like you that are established, or they're kind of like long gone because they try to pursue the whole TikTok, social media, and it just, I don't know, it just got very saturated.
It's so saturated. Well, it's scary. I think, to be honest, like I had a wedding videography business that was doing really well in Virginia. I had 22 weddings last year. And then I pick up and move to LA, and I recognize that the social media scene is very saturated. I feel like content creation, you know, influencing, that whole world has changed so much in the past like 2 years, where to me it doesn't feel, I believe in myself and I believe I'll have longevity in whatever I pursue, and I really believe that at my core. But I think as far as the industry goes, it's very different, and like I've kind of had this fear of like letting go of weddings and videography, and I've slowly started to take less and less of those gigs because I do have such a like solid platform that I don't feel like I pour into it as much as I should. And I'm like, I have such an opportunity here with social media and influencing, and not even the opportunity to like cash in, but more so like an opportunity to like make something really unique and special with my life. And I think that I'm kind of at a point now, I've been here like 6 months, and I'm like dabbling in videography, I'm dabbling in, you know, creative direction, and I'm dabbling in influencing, and I'm figuring out what I like and what I want. But it's been confusing because like I have my core of videography and being an actual like videographer, and I don't know, I've kind of had this like struggle, and I think I feel at the end of the day I feel so glad that at my core I'm solid. Like there've been so many weird opportunities out here where I'm like, oh, I could like take this on, or I could pursue this opportunity, but it doesn't feel aligned, or it doesn't feel like the right move for longevity. And I think at 21, if I'd come out here, I could have gotten really lost.
Do you think that's interesting too, because it just sounds like you're not going to get, you know, swayed by someone who's just trying to use your platform? Because usually you hear that in LA. It's like, are people being fake? Is this guy my friend? Is he trying to use me for social clout? It sounds like you got all that figured out, and you got your little shrug there. You got that figured out. You still don't know if people are being fake.
I think that I definitely have a pretty good handle on it. I think I'm able to pick out like which friendships are super genuine and authentic versus which ones there's like social gain, if that makes sense. Right. So even if it's like I've had this like kind of balance of like, okay, I meet somebody, would I consider this somebody that I would like have at my wedding one day? Would this be somebody that I want to go to coffee with and talk about business or life, or like, you know, do I have like a genuine friendship? Or is this somebody that is more of a business acquaintance, and like we can get along on a surface level, but like I realize I benefit them and they benefit me, and I feel like that's not a real normal or healthy thing. Like that wouldn't be a part of my life in Virginia. Like I wouldn't be using somebody or them using me and have it be mutually beneficial. But out here, like you kind of do have those relationships where it's more so like a working relationship, even if there's no like immediate financial gain. But I do feel like I'm able to like suss that out. And I think that like I've had people show up for me in like actual tangible ways as a friend, where I'm like trying to figure out like where this person stands with me, and then their actions will show me like, oh, this is an actual friend. This is somebody I can actually rely on. So I've just been like cautious, but I certainly have run into that, but I just changed my mindset about that person. I'm like, okay, this isn't somebody that I'm going to like pursue or really trust with information or even like emotions, but like I'm going to have that professional relationship with them where like I realize they benefit from me, but like it's got to be mutual, you know?
Even where you're at right now and us, like we're all, for me personally, I got friends that are getting married. I'm just trying to get a text back at this point. There's people making out on Broadway. There's people buying homes. We're in a very weird state of my life, at least. But I've noticed that like the circle is getting a lot smaller, which is cool. And I'd imagine that's somewhat like you. So if someone's going to benefit you, then it's like, all right, is it a brand deal? Am I going to work with this brand deal? Is that going to be the relationship? You kind of don't need a ton of friends, you know? Like you're probably just trying to figure it out where you are. Let's go full circle. I want to timeline it up with you because that's just what we do over here. Back in Virginia. So I guess this is what we're doing here. Looks like you grew up doing beauty pageants and even crowned Miss Virginia Teen USA 2011, Miss Virginia USA 2020. Come on now, dude. Come on. Let's go. So how did you got any siblings or what was life growing up? How did you get into that?
So I grew up with an older brother. And that was mostly how I grew up. Like I did have a little sister. She was adopted when I was like 17. So pretty much like I was leaving and she came in. She was 11 when she was officially adopted. So we have a bit of an age gap, but I grew up with an older brother. I grew up as Tommy Evans' little sister. I was like, we were super close in age. We were just one grade apart. So it was so fun. Like his older guy friends, my younger girlfriends, constantly all hung out. We had like just such a close, tight-knit friend group. And we grew up like on the Chesapeake Bay. Like our town is a little peninsula that goes out into the water. So like lots of fishermen. There's lots of like boat culture where people are just always like out on the water and always outside. Like I grew up literally playing outside every single day of my life. I always say like I had the best childhood. Like I was loved, I was protected, I was in a safe community, and I got to experience a lot of like, I don't know, like I look around LA and I'm like, kids don't get the same childhood that I had. So I'm forever grateful for that. And yeah, having an older brother, I think like toughened me up a bit. Like I joke that I think we both were each other's like butt of the joke. Like, but I feel like as the little sister and like all of his friends, like I was always the butt of the joke and like nobody took me serious. But I think that made me like who I am. Like I think that's what made me goofy and funny and like my kind of like inappropriate sense of humor. Like I like that stuff about me, and I think that that's what makes my life fun is that I can like poke fun at things and like I don't take anything too seriously. So I think having an older brother helped with that. But pageants, again, my parents were like, my mom's very low key. Like the pageant thing was like, I wanted to do that. My mom was like, I don't know anything about this world. We can do this, but like, we're going to do it on a budget. Like, I'm not trying to spend a bunch of money on a bunch of dresses. So like we always did my own hair and makeup. We did splurge on a dress for Miss Virginia Teen, which I think it was like a $400 dress, which at the time was like crazy money to like, I cried because I felt so bad. And my mom was like, do you really love this dress? And it was like one of those things where I was 17 years old and I was like going to Miss Virginia. There was a scholarship to the New York Film Academy and there was all these opportunities that could happen if I won. And my mom and my dad like really supported me. And I always tell this story because my dad didn't want me to do the pageant at 17. And he was like, well, Jean, like my mom's name is Jean. He's like, Jean, what if she wins? Like if she wins, then we have to like bring her to Miss Teen USA and we have to like go to the Bahamas and she's going to compete. Like what happens? And my mom literally said to my dad, I didn't know this at the time, but she was like, stuff like that doesn't happen to people like us. Like we're going to be fine. Let's support her. Let's let her do this thing. Like it's important to like, you know, support your kids and like let them believe in themselves and believe in them. But she was just like, this is crazy. Like it's not going to happen. And then it happened. And they were like, what the hell? Like, how is this happening? And I got a scholarship to college from it. That's why I ended up in St. Louis for 4 years. Like changed my life, changed the trajectory of my life in the most amazing way. So I think there's a lot of problems with pageants and I don't always think that they're the best thing for people, but for me it was incredible. It changed my life, made me a better person.
No, when I was looking at that, I was just like, okay, I mean, is she looking up to like a Tyra Banks? Like how'd she get into it? It sounds like your parents didn't really support it. It's just something that you kind of wanted to do. I'm guessing your brother played sports and you're like, well, I'm going to go play this. And I would say this, my cousins growing up grew up in like competitive gymnastics and travel gymnastics. I don't know if you call beauty pageant a sport, but I would almost say it is. It's a very competitive sport, isn't it?
Yeah, it's definitely very competitive. I think especially in the South, it's like I think a lot of us look at it as an opportunity to like, I hate to say get out, but like I'm from a small town and I was just like, there's so much out there in the world. Like I always was interested in production. I was a performer. I like loved the idea of whether it was on stage or behind a camera. Like I've had a camera in my hand since I was a kid. Like I love the idea of like Hollywood. I was like, even if I was a filmmaker or a writer, like I loved writing scripts. Like I was just so interested in production from the time I was a kid. And I didn't see how to get from like my small town in Virginia to working on a show or a movie or something like that in any capacity. Like it just, like my mom said, it doesn't happen to people like us. And I feel like I saw the pageant world as an opportunity. Like it took me to college. I got a film degree out of it. It brought me out to California for the first time. I did like leadership courses out here, and like it put me in the right places to put me on a trajectory. Even if I didn't end up in LA until I was 30, like I gained so much life experience in the meantime, and a lot of it started with those opportunities that the Miss Teen USA organization gave me, along with like body dysmorphia and like major self-esteem issues. But like, you take the good with the bad.
No, that's very interesting. Okay, because I was like, how is she going to St. Louis at an all-girls college and it's a private school, dude? Like, what is going on here?
It changed. It changed before I got there. There were guys and girls, but it used to be all girls, and now it's actually D1. It's like an up and coming big school now.
Okay, that's super interesting. So then what does your brother do, by the way, after high school?
So he's kind of like me. We're kind of little entrepreneurs. He's a realtor. He has a business of his own, and then he actually just started working for a company that does like fire recovery. So he's like it's kind of an interesting job. It's kind of like a sales job for fire services, like post crisis. It's a really interesting job. Yeah.
So you were going to college. Your major, what was it? Digital cinema, arts of digital cinema. Am I correct on that? And then senior year, I guess after senior year, you get picked up being a performer in Tokyo, Disney. Like, how does that happen?
A little bit of luck, and then a little bit of adversity, and like a newfound confidence. I would say it was like a combination of those things. So like I graduated college, I was dating a guy who did not want to have a full-time job, which like I get it, same, like nobody does. But I was like dating him. I feel like I was kind of like picking up all the bills for us. Like we were serious. It was like a 2-year relationship. But he wasn't working full time. I was like busting my ass. I was a production assistant. I was working on commercials. I was a waitress. Like I was working constantly. And I was just like, I feel like I was just providing for me and this guy. And I was like, what am I doing? Like I had saved so much money to go traveling. I wanted to do a Europe trip. I wanted to like see the world. I had like all these aspirations to travel and backpack. And I was hoping to do it with him, but he just like didn't care to work, I guess. And so that summer I was working one of my gigs, and somebody approached me and was like, you could totally be a Disney princess. And I was like, oh, okay. Like that's such a weird compliment, but thank you. And she was like, no, you could actually, it's like a real job. And she was like, you can travel the world with it. They have parks all over the world. Like you could be a Disney princess. Like if you can perform, if you can do this, whatever. And I was like, okay, well, I used to do musical theater. I, took voice through college. I took dance. I did acting like for fun. And then I was a film major, but I didn't really have like the confidence that I was like good enough to ever be on Broadway. Like I thought it was like, okay, you're either going to be on Broadway or you're not going to have a job. So I pursued film because I was like, I'm not that good. And then after college, I realized I was like, wait, there's so many jobs that are performing that's not like, a star in a Broadway production. Like I don't have to be a starving artist and like just not perform. So I went home and I looked it up, and like the next week in New York City, I literally had there was an audition for Tokyo Disneyland, and I was like, I feel like this is a freaking sign that I need to take it. And I just like went to New York. I walked in, there was like 500 people. And then there was 7 of us at the end. And I was like, holy crap, I might go to Tokyo. And then within like a week, I had a contract in hand.
That's insane. What did that audition look like?
It was really fun. I was kind of scared shitless, but I walked in and I'm like in a TJ Maxx, workout outfit. Like I remember like I had gone to TJ Maxx and I was like, this is cute. Like it was a cute like tank top and shorts, and I literally had sneakers on. And I walk in and there's girls with like jazz shoes and like ballet flats, and girls with like their feet above their head and they're like stretching before the dancing portion. And I was like, oh my God, I was like, I got a C in ballet in college. Like, what am I doing here? But again, pageantry taught me like your audition starts like the second you arrive. Like the second you walk into the room, you're in an audition, even if you haven't like stepped on stage like to perform yet. So like when I walked in the room, I was like, okay, like you're performing essentially immediately. So you're networking, you're connecting, you're projecting, positivity, you're trying to talk to people and be helpful. Like that's how I looked at it. And I feel like being one of the less talented people in the room, having that attitude and having like this awareness, I feel like it gave me a leg up. And then the audition was like dancing. It was like 3 rounds of dancing. There was an improv section, which I knew nothing about Disney movies. So like they were trying to tell me about, I think it was Sleeping Beauty. And I thought it was the same thing as Snow White. And I was like, I don't even know the difference between this story. Like, so I just was pulling shit out my ass. I was like, I don't know anything about this. I'm just going to pretend and make up a storyline. And I think I don't know. I think there was like, it was low stakes. So I just had this weird confidence and I just went for it. And somehow I remember walking out and being like, I don't know how I killed that, but I remember feeling, I was like, somehow I killed that. And I have no idea what I'm doing.
Like, let's fucking go. And then they just hire 7 of you guys, or is just one down to 1?
It was actually the 7 of us that were in the room at that audition at the end. We all made it, but they go do these castings in Sydney, Australia. They go to London. They did Salt Lake City that year, LA, and then Toronto. So they go to like major cities around the world, and then they bring like 5 to 10 people from each city. So it's a cast of 50 people at the end. Gotcha.
So they're just letting you know that you're going to Tokyo next week.
Yeah. Okay. They're like, there's a chance. Like basically once you get to the very end, it's like no guarantee until you have a contract. But yeah, they're like, you might go to Tokyo. And I couldn't believe it. I was like, that's insane. I was back in my hometown at the time and I was like, wow, I'm literally going to move from Poquoson, Virginia to Tokyo.
And then you go to Tokyo. You're there for a couple years. I mean, what characters are you playing? Are you kind of bouncing around a little bit? You're Frozen here, you're Snow White there. What's going on, dude?
Yeah, you kind of get assigned different characters. And so you'll perform different characters in different shows and different, like there's stage shows, there's parades, there's all kinds of opportunities like at the park. So you kind of go through seasons and they have different things that pop up. So it just depends on the season and like what's going on in the park.
Gotcha. How did you adapt to the gaps of like miscommunication and just dialect over there?
Honestly, I think that I am really adaptable and I'm such a, what is the word? Like, I just respect other cultures so much. And I also think like, I know the reputation that we have as Americans and people like the stigma or the stereotype about Americans in other places that we don't respect them or that we expect them to like adapt to our culture. And like, we think we're better. And I don't think that's like true about us, but there's a reason why that stereotype exists for us, because I saw it with other people that I worked with that did get frustrated with Japanese culture or didn't respect Japanese like customs. And I just think that's like inappropriate. Like if you're going to another country and you're going to be in their culture, I think at the end of the day, unless it's like a moral or, a crisis situation, like I'm going to adapt to that culture and do my best to respect it. So I think I adapted very well. I tried to learn the language as best I could. I learned the 2 alphabets. I was studying the language before I got there. It was horrible. And then within 2 weeks of being there, I learned more than I like could have possibly learned leading up to it. And then, yeah, I think I adapted very well. And I think at the time I was such a free spirit that being in a country that has like respect and like work ethic as kind of their top priorities, it just like, it took me as this free spirited, like happy-go-lucky, like just like little ball of energy. And it kind of put me into a box a little bit. And I think that was like the best thing I could have done at 22 years old. Like I was kind of reckless, like not not in a bad way. I was always really ambitious, but I was more so like, I'm now in a culture that they literally like work so hard that they get sick, which I don't think is a good thing either. But it was like this balance of like me being happy go lucky and then being in a culture of like, it's like gambate culture. It's like you fight till the end. And so I was like, it just forced me to become a better version of myself in so many ways.
Yeah, we'll talk about learning the culture. I guess you get bored over there in Tokyo Disney's and you're trying to kick some ass at the same time and go into jiu-jitsu. What is that? That's just part of learning the culture?
Yeah, actually, I started learning more Japanese once I started doing jiu-jitsu because at Disney they have tons of translators. Like you go to work and there's a translator if you need to communicate with somebody. So we had access to English speaking people constantly. But every day on my walk to the gym, I would pass by this martial arts school. It was an MMA gym. And I remember one time I was like watching from outside the window. It was like freezing cold. The inside windows were like all foggy. It felt like a movie because I was like watching, like peering in. And literally I saw somebody get like pushed up against the wall. And I was like making eye contact with them. And I was just like the gaijin, like the foreigner outside, like looking in. And I was like, oh my God, this is so crazy. And I'm just making eye contact and then they continue fighting. And it was like in that moment that I was like, that was so badass. I want to do that. And it took me like 3 months of walking by this gym. And then I actually had a translator from work call the gym and ask if they would allow like a foreign girl come train with them because it was all men that I saw inside and they were all Japanese. And so I knew my Japanese was pretty bad at the time. So I was like, I don't want to be disrespectful and like go in and then them have to like adapt. Like I will 1000% participate to the best of my ability, but like I don't want you guys to have to like, be uncomfortable that I don't speak Japanese well. So they welcomed me. They said, come in on a Thursday. We have an English professor, a guy that speaks some English on Thursdays. So I came in on Thursday. I met Utah, who is now one of my friends. He lives in New York City and I've gone to like New York to train with him and he's come to Virginia actually a few times and we've gotten together. So it's become like a life friend now. And he's like an incredible jiu-jitsu and judo master. So I started training with them. I feel like they were my teammates. I promised them when I left Japan, I like pinky promised, I'm like, I will come back and train with you guys someday. And I was planning to go in 2020, but then COVID hit. So didn't work out. But I'm still planning to go back and train with them again someday. But it definitely was a big part of like learning the culture and the language was like participating in jiu-jitsu.
Yeah. You tried on your brother yet or no?
Have I tried? We've definitely joked a lot, but he actually did mention, he's like, I think I would be scared to like actually brawl with you. Cause like, if you can't, he's like, if I can't punch, which like my brother's not going to punch me, but he's like, if I can't like punch, he's like, I don't know how to do jujitsu. So he's like, you might actually be able to like choke me out or something.
Only on the X fling. I got you. All right. So this is 20. Yeah, right. This is 2020. Okay. You move back home, Williamsburg. You go to Williamsburg. Is that correct? You get into a marketing field and then you go back kind of into the beauty pageant world a little bit.
Yeah. So that was my goal. So I moved back to Virginia because I had this dream of going to Miss USA as an adult. So I did it as a teen, Miss Teen USA. And I was like, I want to be able to say like, I want to represent Virginia on stage at Miss USA. And I knew there was an age limit and I was coming up close to it at the time. I was like, okay, I've got like 2 years left. So I went back, I got a marketing job in Williamsburg. It was amazing. It was like I grew a lot in that job too. It was pharmaceuticals, but I worked directly with patients and patient advocates. So I was spending time with people with like life-threatening illnesses. And it was just like a really beautiful job that made me appreciate life and like see things differently. So great job. I learned a lot about marketing too, which was cool. And then I competed at Miss Virginia USA. I got third place the first year, and then the second year I won, and then COVID hit. And then it was the COVID year for the Miss USA, and it was very interesting to say the least.
Yeah, then everyone's wiggle dicking on TikTok, and I'm catching myself doing one of these TikToks too. Man, it's crazy. Okay, let's get into the juicy stuff. I'm guessing that's why everybody's going to be tuned in and watching this. Susie Evans, appreciate you hopping on the pod. I guess let's get into, did somebody sign you up for this, for the Bachelor at season 26? Okay, so that's what happened. Tell me the story behind that.
Yeah, so it was when I came home from Japan, my girlfriends, I came home in 2018 or 2019. I think 18. And my girlfriends back home were big Bachelor fans. They'd watched for years. I had seen a couple episodes. I was kind of against it at first. I was like, this is so dumb. It's like misogynistic. It's like one guy, 30 girls. Like, I don't want to be a part of this. That was my mentality. And then my friends convinced me very easily. I just was like unaware of the show, I guess. I just hadn't seen it enough to really know what it was about. But yeah, I came home and I was very single, like 2 years in Japan, trying dating in another culture, like language barrier didn't work out great for me. So my friends were like, okay, well, we're going to set you up on dates. We're going to, apply to go on the show. And I was like, this is crazy, but whatever. So they literally like hand wrote an application, printed pictures, submitted it in the mail. And I didn't hear anything. It was for Colton's season. And they were like, at the time, they were like, Susie, he's actually like a super sweet guy. Like he's, I think he was a virgin, and not that I like necessarily want to date a virgin, but they were just like, he's such a sweetheart. Like he's like waiting for the right person. Like, and I think that's how the Bachelor franchise sold him too. It was just like, he was supposedly like a really sweet, innocent guy. And so I was like, you know what? Like, okay, I'll do it. Like I'd go on the show. Like that could be cool. Like maybe this would be the time it would work out. Who knows? And I don't hear anything. And I end up getting into a relationship. And then like a year later, the show calls me, literally a call from Los Angeles. I'm sitting at my desk in Williamsburg, and I'm like, Los Angeles, this is so weird. I answer, and they're like, yeah, this is so-and-so from the show. Your friend submitted you last year, but we had already completed casting. So we held on to your packet and we wanted to follow up with you this year. I was like, oh my God, this is so crazy. Like I was so flattered that I actually started watching the show. I was like, from that instance, I was like, wait, this is actually so crazy that they wanted to like consider having me on the show. So I started watching, and then I became a fan, and I was like, wait, this is really fun. I like it. And every year since that first year, they contacted me to come on or like have an interview. And I was either like in a relationship, or the year that I was pursuing Miss Virginia, like it just never worked out. And I was just like, I don't know if it's meant to be. And then like 2021 July, I was dating a guy, turned out to be not a nice guy. I had told the show no when they contacted me, and then it was like July 12th or something, and I find out this guy had been cheating on me, and I was so shook. I was like so caught off guard. But within 3 days, I was on a Skype call with the producers from the show, because I was like, dude, I texted the girl back and I was like, hey, my circumstances have changed. Any chance I can still come on the show? And she was like, yes, but we have to move quick. So was on a Skype call in 3 days, submitted all my pictures, like happened so quick. And then I think it was like early September, I was on the show.
So that's what happened. Then they just call you up in September. And then how are you kind of preparing for that? Are you nervous? Like what's going on? You're thinking about what you're going to say outside the limo?
Yeah, I actually was really nervous because the guy I was dating, like just before the show, when it first happened, like basically I found out that he was like cheating on me because another girl thought she was in a relationship with him too. And so that girl contacted me at first and thought I was like the other woman. So, and then I wrote back to her and was like, I had no idea. I was like, I thought I was in a relationship with this man. So we both got played. But in my brain, I was like, again, like with Jed, I don't know exactly his situation, but I'm like, you can get your reputation ruined from the show. Like the wrong thing can come out. The media can take a spin on it, or just one headline can like really affect you. So I was really scared. I was like, this feels really risky to like come out of kind of a scandal and then go right into a show. But the girl and I were obviously on good terms, but I was just like, it just felt like so soon. So I was kind of scared shitless the whole time. Like I was like, damn, like is there going to be bad press, or is there going to be like somebody from my past that comes out and says something? Like, I don't know. I was so, I just feel like I'd seen so many people like get villainized on the show, and I'm such a softie. Even now when I watch the show and I see people that are villainized, I always try to give them the benefit of the doubt. Cause I'm like, at the end of the day, most people aren't bad, but we've all been a villain in someone's story. Like whether it's breaking up with somebody, or saying the wrong thing in a relationship, or saying something that's hurtful, or breaking up with a good guy, like we've all like effed up at some point in our life and been the villain. And so I just didn't want to like come across as a bad person on the show. And I think that the show can be so damaging. So I was really freaking nervous. And then the whole time I was on the show, I was like, damn, like, how is everything going so good? How is everything, like, everything was working out so well. And I would like cry of gratitude sometimes. And I would be like experiencing something. I remember being on the back of this boat with Gabby and Rachel, and we were just like taking in the landscape, and I had like tears coming down my face because I was just like, how in my, like, I don't understand how in this lifetime I have been so lucky and like blessed. I genuinely don't get it. And so I felt grateful every day that I was there. And I just kept thinking, like, I don't know how this is so good. And then at the end, it got a little bit crazy.
A little bit dicey.
Yeah. So then I was like, okay, not everything's perfect.
That reminds me. So the first season that I started watching was when I had a girlfriend in college. What was that, 2019? I think it was Colton's season. And so that's how I got into it. He even visited Tennessee like that next year when everything came out, and like still all the girls were going crazy for him. You said Gabby and Rachel had one of my boys who I grew up with. John Anderson was on that season I guess that was last season or whatever.
John Anderson. Wait, I'm trying to think of who that is.
26-year-old dude, young stud in the wall. He gets out of the limo. He hugs one of the girls. He mixes up the names, and that's kind of how he got his name. And he got booted in week 2.
Oh, that's such a bummer.
Yeah, I know. Why do you think the season was so controversial? It always kind of is. Is that just Bachelor Nation, or like what's going on?
I think that, I mean, I take responsibility for a lot of it because I look back and I'm like, I asked a question that I should have saved for a fantasy suite conversation. And at the time, I felt like I was really being encouraged to like have that conversation publicly, like for the cameras, because I remember having a conversation and just being like, I remember I was crying and I felt so bad, and I was like, I feel like I just don't want to expose anybody or say something that's gonna like be detrimental to the other relationships. But I felt like I was really encouraged, and I have to be kind of careful like how I word all this, but I feel like I was really encouraged to like voice how I felt, because it wasn't just Clayton's love story. It's like all of us, like it's a compatibility thing, whether it's Clayton being compatible with us or us being compatible with him. So the fantasy suite conversation about sex and love were two things that I felt passionate about, because leading up to that topic, it's like you're getting asked these questions daily, like, well, what if he's having sex with other people? What if he's doing that and he's in love with other people? And in my brain at that time, I could not comprehend being in love with multiple people. Like you just don't even really ever have to think about that. And having just come out of a situation where I thought I was in a relationship with a man, and then he was actually in a relationship with 2 people, like I also think I'm like, that might have been too quick of a turnaround for me to like go on a show like this. I didn't feel triggered at all on the show. I felt very comfortable with like, I'm comfortable if he picks me, but if we're not meant to be, that's just compatibility. And like, I would rather find somebody that I'm actually compatible with. And I'm like that with regular dating too. So, I think that I take responsibility for like asking that question on camera about the fantasy suites with the other women. And I also think Clayton takes responsibility for how he reacted, which in my opinion was completely inappropriate. Like, I think we both did a really bad job navigating. I should have saved that conversation for off camera. And I also don't think that like the people that we had in our ears were like rooting for us to have a great conversation. Like, I think they were like, this is comedy gold. And it was,
right.
Or not comedy. It's television gold. And it's,
you guys are sucked into reality TV. Like, you're in that moment. You're like, I'm getting mind fucked right now, but I am in love, low key,
literally, like, it was great television. And so, I think it just ended up being so controversial because of everything. Like the way Clayton reacted to me, I think was really divisive. Like people were either team Susie or team Clayton. And then after the show, we rekindled. And so the people that like were hardcore team Clayton or hardcore team Susie, it's like now we're together. And so it's like our teams don't want to conjoin because they thought we were broken up. So it was really complicated. But I think that if I could go back, I would change how it went down, because I think it would have saved everybody a lot of pain.
So you didn't have any beef with the other little lady bros on the show?
Oh no, not at all. I felt like very much I felt like I had respect and love for the other girls. Like throughout the whole season, I felt like I was friends with everybody is what I felt like. So
It's funny because you're talking about like, well, I should have done that in the fantasy suite or whatever. John was telling me that, and I guess he still, like, he didn't get out of his contract till like months later after the show too. I was trying to get him brand deals, dude. I was like, I can't do this for you, dude, if you can't work with anybody. But he was just kind of telling me that there's a lot that goes on behind the scenes, and I don't know if you're able to talk about it, but is that something that the cameras were like, nah, dude, like ask him the question like on camera for TV? How scripted was the show?
I don't feel like it was scripted. People always ask that, and I'm like, I don't feel like any of it was scripted, but a lot of it was produced. So, like I mentioned, going into the fantasy suite date night, I wanted to take the fantasy suite and have that conversation privately, and that was my plan because I was open about how I felt about everything. I was like, "Fuck no!" I don't know if I can say that word. Sorry.
No, you're good. We're cursing here. We're cursing.
Yeah, I was literally like, absolutely not. No way in hell I'm putting a ring on my finger. If this person is claiming to be in love with other people, if this person has been physically intimate with other people, like in my brain, with my moral compass and the way I would treat a partner, I would never, ever like.
Hey, you on the show, dude? You on the show? Like you knew that was gonna happen, though.
What, like to be physically intimate with somebody?
Yeah, you know that.
I don't feel like that's always the case. Like
really?
I feel like
Okay.
Nick Viall's talked about it. Like he only was physically intimate with the person that he wanted to choose.
Gotcha.
I feel like a lot of people like just don't talk about the fantasy suites, but like people, I know somebody that ended up with the guy from the show, and she was like, absolutely not. Like if I had gotten to my fantasy suite date and that person had been intimate with other people, like I would have been out because I feel like a lot of people kind of know when they're at that point, like who they're going to pick or who they want to be with.
Right.
And to me, I feel like, yes, this is a TV show. So in my brain, I'm like, if this is a TV show and you want to play by TV show rules, totally cool. But I'm not taking you home with me.
Come on now. Let's go.
I'm like, I'm down to play the game and I'm down to be on a TV show. And if that's what this is to you, totally cool.
Right.
But I'm a human being with morals and values. I'm a human being that expects respect. I have a high standard for the person that I'm dating. I have a high standard for the person I plan to make the father of my children. Like I hold my person to a very high standard because I hold myself to a high standard. And so my mentality is like, totally happy to be on a show, and if that's what this is, play the game, but I'm gonna see myself out before I have to like take this into my real world. Like I have to apply you to my real life world. And so they are two different things. And that's why whenever people are like, when people do say like, oh, but you knew this was gonna happen, like you signed up for the show, I'm like, yeah, but like I'm also able to exit the show at any point when the show doesn't like translate to my life. Because like, is the point of the show for television? And if that's the case, then like, great, I'll go home and it'll be dramatic because Clayton just lost the love of his life that he feels like he can't live without. And that's TV, baby. But if this is like reality where I have to like, I'm just saying, I'm like, if this is reality where I have to like let you come live at my house, which Clayton moved to my apartment in Virginia Beach, like I have to look you in the eyes at night, and like you can't think about how that might make me feel, or like just consider whoever it is, whether it was me or not. That's that's my take on it. And so I totally get when people are like, oh, it's reality TV, whatever. I'm like, yeah, but you got to take it home with you at some point, or else, or you leave, which is where I was at, where I was like, okay, well, this doesn't like fit my lifestyle, so bye.
Gotcha. So
he's just thinking with the bottom brain downstairs. At that point, it sounds like typical F bag D bag guy.
But
No,
then
he's a good guy. He's a good guy. He just,
is he a good dude for real?
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, he's a great person. I think this is what he like described after the show. He was like, he said that himself, like, he's like, I adapted to the mentality of the show. And he's like, you stayed in the real world. Like you applied this as if this were like a real world experience. Exactly. And he applied it as if this was a TV show experience.
Quick question on that, though, and let's call a spade a spade. You're on Bachelor, you're getting clout, you're getting social status, but then you actually might, I mean, it sounds like you get sucked into that kind of show. Example, Jed Wyatt, and you're like, oh, shit, like, I have feelings. Like, come on. Like, we're all, I even got on my bookmark, Love Island. I'm not going to sign up for it, but maybe, Andy, if you get athletic or drunk one night, you might sign up for it, and I'll take the clout. You know, like, is that what it is, dude? Come on, let's get real.
Like, is that why I went? Is that what you're asking? Or is that like,
Yeah, or just, or you know, you, or just maybe kind of everybody else, or what's, you know.
I'll be honest, whenever people like the biggest eye roll that I give, I could take a villain, I could take some corny dude coming out of the limo doing some stupid shit. Like, I could take almost anything from the show. But when people say that they come on the show because they're there to find love and that's the only reason they're there, I immediately call bullshit, because I'm like, you are either so socially unaware or you're just appeasing to an audience that really wants to believe that. But I'm like, we are all like, we're living in an age now where like that just isn't the reality anymore.
Right.
Like, you can go on a show and if you get to the end, like, you're going to have some kind of press or media. And I think that's changing again too. Like, the totem pole is like swinging back the other direction. Like, I feel like people get less followers and less clout from the show than they used to. But like, if you just want to find love, download Bumble. Literally post a thirst trap. Like, there's so many ways to attract people for love or connection in the real world that are way more organic, way more seemingly gonna actually work than The Bachelor. So I feel like it's so unbelievable when people are like, I signed up for the show just for you. And I'm like, really? Because nobody knew The Bachelor was Clayton until we were literally leaving the show. So
Yeah, that sounds like me just forever ongoing contemplating going to a Trader Joe's on a Tuesday at 5 p.m. and just testing the luck out. I can at least do that, you know? Come on now. Okay, so I'm gonna just save the time here because people did watch it, but it did sound like you went back onto the show and you were just I guess the first person in Bachelor Nation to be like, nah, I'm good, dude. Let's figure this thing out off camera. What's the biggest difference between like, all right, hey, now I'm sitting next to you or across from you off camera? That's got to feel different, no?
absolutely. I think, I had no intention of ever getting back with Clayton when we left the show, but I was told, like, when I was there, it was like, you have to either give a yes or a no. Like, you either have to accept the final rose and start a relationship and figure this out, or you have to say no. And to me, I was like, I didn't see a possibility of me and Clayton ever getting back together. I was so out when I was left Iceland. I was like, not forced, but I was made to stay in Iceland for the finale. Like, even after I went home and was eliminated, like, I couldn't leave. So I was like brought back in by production. Like, I didn't want to come back on. Like, I wasn't like, oh, I want to see him again. Like, it was more so like, I remember thinking, I was like, I would love to end this more amicably than we just did. So I would be happy to have a conversation, but it was not to get back together with him. And so, yeah, when I left the show, I contacted him, more so checking in on him to make sure everything was okay. We started talking and just like comparing stories as far as like perspective and what people were saying to him, what people were saying to me. It just became very clear that like we were in this weird bubble of like this pressure cooker. And I felt like I kind of felt obligated to see if it could work in the real world, because I was like, there is something there. There is a connection. And if we can just try this outside of being on a show with producers in our ears, then maybe we can like actually make this work. And I think we fell in love. Actually, like, I don't think Clayton actually fell in love with me until we were off the show, despite him feeling like he loved or thinking he loved me on the show.
Yeah, that's interesting. I guess that makes sense. And then you guys move back in. He's not doing the dishes at home on a, whatever, on a weekend. And you're like, I'm out, dude. I'm good.
Yeah. I was like, you're not going to do dishes?
Is your family?
Yeah. Is your family or your brothers like, dude, what are you doing, dude?
Yeah. My family is really supportive, actually. They liked Clayton a lot. And I think that they recognize that we went through something like really traumatic. My brother didn't know that I was with Clayton until like 3 or 4 days before the final show, like the finale. Like, we had been hiding our relationship for like months.
Oh, yeah, that makes sense. That makes sense because it airs months later. Gotcha.
Yeah, and you have to keep it a secret. And my brother told me not to tell him because he didn't think he could keep it a secret from his wife. And then I didn't tell my sister because I was like, I know she can't keep a secret. So my parents were the only ones that knew. And then I talked to my brother like 3 days before the finale because Clayton was in a really bad spot. But leading up to that, actually, my brother called me one time and I was with Clayton. I put him on speakerphone and my brother was ripping him because he didn't think we were together. And so he was
Yeah.
like making fun of him, and he was like quoting like the crying scene from Clayton, like literally just ripping him. And I'm like on speakerphone and I'm like looking at Clayton, I'm like, oh my God, I'm so sorry. But like, yeah, we went back to Virginia. My family supported us. Like at the end of the day, I think I'm harder on people than my family is. Like I have higher expectations. And then we broke up, and we just weren't really compatible at the end of the day. I think that's what it is. Like I think, like I said, I have really high expectations, and like I think that there was like trauma from the show and stuff like that. I think it was just healthier for us to go our separate ways, and we both kind of felt that way. So we went our separate ways, and like he wanted no contact at first, so we did no contact, and then we became friendly again and friends. We've seen each other at events, and actually just recently my brother asked me like, hey, would you be cool with me reaching out to Clayton because I'm getting into working out and I want a fitness plan? And I was like, dude.
Oh my. Hey, I don't know about that one, bro.
I know, but my brother like really, they were like cool, like they were friends and stuff. So
Okay.
it was like 3 weeks ago. My brother, he's like just lost a lot of weight, and he's gotten a gym membership, but he's like, I don't really know what to do. And like, I know Clayton has a gym program. Like, can I reach out to him and see if I can join it? And I was like, yeah, of course. And so my brother showed me the text. It was actually really sweet. He texted Clayton and saying like, hey dude, how do I sign up for your program? And Clayton was like, dude, I'm not going to let you sign up. Like, I'm going to give you a free plan, and I'm going to help you out. Like, your sister was like one of the best friends to me, and like changed my life, made me a better person. Like
he's still in love with you, bro. He is still in love with you. Are you going to get back together with this guy now that your brother's kind of talking to him a little bit?
No.
Okay, so that might be a little toss up for you, a little tea on the bat. Are you going to be the next Bachelorette?
No, I don't think so.
Do you want to be the next Bachelorette?
Would I like to? Is that what you said?
Yeah.
I don't think so. They talked to me about it this past year, and I definitely like entertained the idea, but I don't know. I don't think that it's for me. And even if they were to call me back this year, I think that it would just be like, I think that I'm past that part of my life. Unfortunately, yeah. I'm very happy with like where I'm at in my life, and I've been dating and like going out on dates, and I feel like it's starting to feel normal again. And I feel like I just need like normal, but I would do another reality show for sure. For sure. I think reality TV is very fun, but I want to do like a competition show.
Maybe a Survivor, or we just had one of our boys who won Big Brother on Jackson Mickey in 2020.
2020?
Yeah, 2020. Yeah. He went out there to LA, Nashville guy, went to Tennessee with me, and dude, that thing screwed with his head after he won it, because he was a very controversial dude. He got all messed up in the head, and now he's with the good, he's talking that good Lord every day, so.
Reality TV can really affect your mental health, like 1,000%. It can be really, really detrimental to your mental health. So like, I respect people that go on it, and I respect people that like come off of it and have put in work for themselves, because it can be really bad for you.
Okay, so let's get into LA just a real quick. Single queen, dating in LA. Let's talk some brand deals. Are you allowed to work with other brands? It sounds like off air we talked about you're coming to Nashville. What does that look like? And are you getting hit up a bunch?
Yeah, it's been so good. So obviously coming off the show, you can't really do brand deals for a while, and then you have to submit everything for a significant period of time. But I'm officially out of contract, which is a part of why I didn't do Paradise this year, because I just didn't want to sign another contract in general, whether it was like with ABC or with, brand deal stuff. I just was like, I didn't think I was going to find love on the beach. And so it didn't feel worth it for me to like go back and get myself under contract. So yeah, I'm able to work with brands. I've been able to work with a lot of like health and wellness brands. Like that's been so good, because I'm so into that stuff. Like I love anything that's going to make me better, like healthier. It's going to improve my life. I've done some beauty stuff. I just had fun like creating content, and I'm kind of like trying to figure out my niche right now, because I know I definitely do lifestyle stuff. I do health and wellness stuff, but I'm trying to like kind of niche in. I don't know what direction I want to go, because I'm like, I feel like my passion is really photography, but I don't know, other than like charging for photography, I don't know how to like translate that to,
Are you still shooting weddings out there in LA?
Yeah, I just did like 3 back-to-back, and that's why I'm so burnt out right now. You can probably hear my voice. I'm a little stuffy, but I did 3 back-to-back, and They were beautiful. California weddings hit different. They are so gorgeous.
I'll tell you what, we were out there on Malibu Beach. Oh my gosh. That's a different world out there, bro. It's a different world out there. Are you signed with anybody? Are you looking to sign? Are you got an agent? You looking to sign with a company, talent agency, or what?
Yeah, so I'm with a couple people. So I work with Bouge Media and they do brand deal stuff with me. And then Little Red Management. I work with both of those companies right now for brand deals and
Nice.
stuff. Yeah.
All right, stack up that bread, sister. Stack up that bread. Okay, cool. We're gonna play a fun game. He's a 10, but cool with that?
Yeah, I love that.
All right, here we go. I got a couple for you here. We're rocking man to woman with Susie Evans. Let's go, baby, gang, gang. He's a 10, but refuses to post you on Instagram.
He's a 0.
Okay.
He's
a
out.
0.
If you can't be proud of me, if you can't let people know that you're a taken man, you are out. You're in the doghouse and I'm not with you.
What about if it's vice versa? Because I've seen that too, where girls just kind of want to keep their image on socials and kind of not show the guy because it might be a distraction or a disadvantage or whatever to brands looking at them.
Yeah, I get that. I feel like if that's your vibe, totally get that. And if that's how you market yourself and you are marketing yourself as a single person, you do single people content, I kind of get that. But if you're with me and you don't, and your brand isn't entirely about being a single guy on the internet, 1000%, you better post my ass. And I'm gonna post you. Like, I want someone to be proud of me and I want to be proud of them. And like, I don't want anyone to appear single for any reason other than they're single.
I love that answer. He's a 10, but is obsessed with The Bachelor.
Ooh, I would say like 6 or 7. He's a 6 or 7. Because then we can do recaps together. But as long as you're not into me because of that.
Okay. He's a 10, but he's a short king, 5'4".
He's a 10. We love a short king.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
I've dated one short king. Great guy.
What am I, 5'9"? I was talking to my buddy in Philly this past week, and I was like, man, it's just weird to be 6'3". You know, like, why are you so tall, dude? You know, that's weird. Fast sticks.
Out of there.
You know. Okay, a couple more here. He's a 10. You're going to love this one because I think I saw it on your socials. He's a 10, but asked for your Snapchat instead of your number or Snapchat communication.
He's a 3. He's a 3. He's a player.
What about dude, I'm still on Snapchat chat, fuck it, you know. What about Snapchat score? Is that something that you look at? Is that like a red flizzag or what, dude?
It used to be, but yeah, I actually used to look, and the guy that was cheating on me before I went on the show, I used to like look at it and be like, this bitch is, who's he snapping?
Yeah. No, I hear you. Yeah, my ex is writing a book about me. I did one of those, and that's how we broke up. So, last relationship was like 6 years ago. I'm kind of just trying to still find myself, dude. Okay, he's a 10, but he follows a lot of girls on IG. Yep, I did this. I don't even care about I'm not trying to see all that anymore. So I follow, this might sound insane, I actually unfollow people who I see get married on Instagram. I follow like 10,000 people on Instagram, and I don't really know them. But I also unfollow just chicks that are trying to just post whatever in the month of December. So What about you? What are you thinking? He's a 10, but he follows a lot of girls on IG.
Is it that he's continuing to while we're talking, or just like previously?
I don't know. It's your floor.
Okay, so I'm gonna say if he's a 10, but he follows a lot of girls on Instagram previously, I'm gonna say he's an 8, 7 or 8. It's like I kind of give a little side eye to that. If you're with me and you're following a lot of girls like while we're together and they're just IG baddies, you're a 0. You're out.
Yeah,
we're done.
The second part of this, who don't follow him back. Okay, but yeah, no girls. They're trying to keep the ratio strong too. I get it, dude. Okay, 2 more for you. He's a 10, but doesn't understand your humor.
Probably a 4. I can't do that. I feel like I love to be the funny one. So.
He's a 10, but posts videos of him singing while listening to music in the car. These are all just questions from our people. So that okay.
Post videos of him in the car singing.
Dude, I feel like is that a shot at me, bro?
I'm like,
I text.
I'm like, this could be either really cute or it could be really corny. And either way, it doesn't bother me that bad. I say it might be a little cringy, so maybe like a 9 or an 8 or a 9. I don't know. But like, I don't care. Like, do you know?
Yeah, come on. I got to text McKenna after that because I feel like that's definitely a shot at me. Okay. Anything you want to plug?
Yeah, my YouTube channel right now. I just took a little break with the weddings and just having a crazy season this past like 3 weeks. But like I've been doing vlogging. I'm gonna be doing recaps still of the Bachelor franchise. I'm gonna do a little show on YouTube coming up. So follow at Susie Was Like. It's my YouTube channel. But yeah, I'm just having a lot of fun with YouTube, Instagram, Susie C. Evans, TikTok, Susie Was Like. Love the
I love
social
it.
media game. It's fun.
And then last question that we ask at the end of all of our interviews, we're going to go man to woman. What is the key to success?
Um, I think the key to success is having a strong moral compass and a vision of like what success is to you. Because success can be so many things to different people, but like if you have your eyes on what it is that drives you and how you can get there while staying true to yourself, like that to me is success. I feel like it doesn't matter about necessarily money or status or image or anything like that. But if you have a clear vision and you can figure out a plan to get to what it is you want in life and remain true to yourself, that's like the dream. That's true success. And I think not bending from that moral compass is so huge. And like to if you're a guy, to any woman, if you are a man with a strong moral compass, strong values, like and you represent that, like that is the most attractive thing. So I feel like you'll find success in multiple areas if you can just like stay true to who you are and have a clear vision of what you want in life.
All right, guys, take notes there, baby. Susie Evans, go check her out. Now living in Southern California, single queen, slaying the streets. We'll see you in EP and LP. We'll see you at the waterfront, dude. Appreciate you coming on, and yeah, we look forward to just congratulations on all the success. We look forward to what you got going on here in the near future.
Thank you. Thank you for having me. This was so fun.